back to HTP Podcast, where we go beyond just strokes and strategy. Our mission here is to change the culture of tennis, having one conversation at a time through a more positive and holistic approach. And today on the pod, we have Ashley. Ashley, I got to meet through Nicole Fintel doing the USTA Women's Summit. And I loved that event that you put on all around. I just thought it was like an amazing event. It takes a lot of work to put on an event like that, but also all the people that I met there were just amazing women. Like they, had a lot of positivity, or they're doing something a little bit different with tennis. And every person that I met there was doing amazing work in the tennis community. And I love that, connecting with you there. I love the work that you've done at USTA and how you're involved on and off the court in different ways. So if you can share with our audience today, where tennis really started for you and some of the positive things, the negative things, and, I don't think everyone knows what goes on behind the scenes when you're off the court. So much is shown on the court. So if you can share a little bit about that with what you do with USTA as well.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. I was really glad when we connected for the Women's Summit and then been able to kind of follow each other along post event there. My name is Ashley Portwood and I work for USTA Southwest. I'm the Community Development Manager and I've been with USTA for 14 years now. Kind of all in the same space within community tennis, different responsibilities over the years. I started playing tennis when I was 13. I feel like I got kind of a late start compared to a lot of people. When I was a kid, my parents put me into every type of summer camp that existed in our small hometown. I think just to keep us busy. And so I tried all different kinds of sports and I wasn't really good at any of them. Like none of them just clicked with me until I found tennis. And tennis I was interested in, signed up for a summer camp at our local university, showed up the first day with a wooden tennis racket that my grandparents had given me. I vividly remember hitting my very first ball and it was like, I'm somewhat decent at this one. I can do this one. I really just got the itch from there to continue improving and playing. That first day of that summer camp, when I showed up with the wooden racket, the coach said, "Hey, why don't you use my racket today?" And I felt like so special, like I got called out by the coach to use their racket, but it's really because mine wasn't going to work for what everyone was doing. Then I played through high school, just high school tennis. When I got to college, I was looking to meet other tennis players. I wanted to continue playing. I never went like a competitive route at all. It was very much just like, this is my sport and I enjoy it and I just want to keep playing it. So I went to the intramurals department and said, "Hey, do you have tennis intramurals?" And they said, "No, not really. We've tried. It hasn't really worked before. But there is this program that we had someone try to start a few years ago and it kind of fell through. And it was the USTA Tennis on Campus program."
Okay.
So I founded that club team at my school, which was New Mexico State. And that was a lot of fun to just honestly meet other tennis players and have people to play with. So I started that my sophomore year, and that really introduced me to everything with USTA, kind of the broader reach that USTA has. Where I grew up, it was a small town. We had to travel 3 hours to get to an airport anywhere. There was no like local tournaments to play in. I played in a couple USTA tournaments throughout the summer just to like keep playing post high school season. But I had no understanding of what USTA was at that point, the bigger reach that everything USTA does, really until I started playing on the club team in college. I played for 3 years on that club team, met my current husband. He was also on the club team, which was great. And then I knew I wanted to work in sports. My degree in college was business, leadership, sports marketing minor. I would have loved to work for ESPN or something that just had sports in general, but I knew tennis was my favorite sport. If there's anything I could do with tennis, that was just going to be golden. I started applying for USTA jobs. There are jobs out there kind of in this. And took a little while, but that's how I got connected with Southwest Section. About a year after I graduated from college, I moved to Phoenix and started working for the Southwest.
And you're originally from New Mexico, right?
Yes, I grew up in Silver City, New Mexico.
Okay. Like tennis, I'd imagine being in a smaller town is probably not the most popular sport out there.
Yeah. I mean, we had honestly a decent tennis community for how small the town was.
Yeah.
Like consistently had boys and girls tennis teams. Our
Okay.
coaches were really great. They were previous college players. Like, it's kind of surprising for how small the town is, how well tennis thrived there. But it really was just like, this is my sport. I finally found it.
Yeah. I love that. And I think it really helps people too, like finding their tribe, finding their community. And that's what I've really noticed about tennis, kind of getting back into it. I took a break from an injury for a while and now getting back into it again. I'm like, wow, the community that tennis has is
Mhm.
amazing. I remember, even though I was playing at South Carolina, I remember they had an intramural club team and it was huge. They had so many people. I mean, I had friends on, playing and learning tennis. And, I would drive by the recreational courts and they were packed. I think it's really cool that they have, like, the USTA has a program for tennis, excuse me, to be able to expand and have more of that community. Can you talk a little bit now with what you do at USTA, and for some people who don't realize, like, a lot of the back end side of doing community events and being able to spread tennis around the Southwest?
I've been with the section for 14 years, and when people ask me what I do, it's a gamut of so many things, and it can be hard to explain sometimes, especially to someone who doesn't play tennis, like,
Yeah.
just understanding the tennis world. We have our competitive route for adults. We've got adult league, adult tournaments. Same thing for juniors. I usually tell people I'm kind of everything else in between. We dip into a competitive route, but it's more of just trying to introduce the sport to as many people as possible, and that can come from a lot of different types of events. I do like event planning, so it's very exciting for me to come up with different ways to do that. But my main areas of responsibility within Southwest section are overseeing the tennis on campus program, which is a lot of fun for me because that's really where I started with USTA. Junior team tennis, which is a similar format but for high school, middle school players. And then I oversee our tennis service reps, which are called TSRs, field staff within the section. So, kind of whatever they are working on, I'm also working on it with them. And that's a lot of fun because it's very dynamic, and every area is so different with what they can do with the number of courts they have, the players they have, anything like that. But one of my favorite parts is really just introducing my favorite sport to other people and hoping that it becomes their favorite sport as well.
Yeah.
I always think about, like, if we're giving rackets out or we're putting on an event, whatever it might be, whatever experience someone is having with tennis because of a program or event that we have put on, I hope that they can take that for a lifetime, whether they go a competitive route or they just play until they're 80 years old, which is a personal goal of mine to still be
Yeah.
on the court. I'm that age.
Me too.
Yeah, I really like,
Yes.
I just hope in the lifetime aspect of the sport with
Mhm.
everybody that we are introducing tennis to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really sounds like you have your hands in all the pots. I think the work that you're doing is amazing. It really can change someone's life, whether it's like having better health or finding that community or just getting that overall stimulation with the eye-hand coordination and activating your brain. Tennis is really beautiful in that way and being able to bridge all those gaps. You're now on an adult league, is that right?
Yeah, when I graduated college, I joined an adult league, and I haven't stopped playing league in the past 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Besides when I was pregnant, took a couple months off both times. And then other than that, I've consistently been on league teams, which has been really fun just to keep playing. I
Mhm.
do tell people sometimes when I'm playing league tennis, they find out I work for USTA and they have a number of questions about whatever their tennis experience was. I'll have to tell them, like, league tennis for me is my time to play. I organize so much in my day-to-day job for
Yeah.
tennis that I just want to be out on the court with some friends, trying my skills, having a good time. And so that's my space to play. I'm not going to organize in that place. But what I appreciate about it is there is some organization to it. Like, people
Mhm.
have scheduled matches for me. They tell me where to go. They tell me who I'm going to play. It would be so much harder to do that on my own if I wanted to keep playing tennis, is
Mhm.
finding people. So I like that there's some structure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't always realize too that there's a lot like tennis leagues out there. There's like club out there. There's actually a lot more opportunities. So whether you're just getting started or you do want more of that competitive route, there are
Mhm.
actually a lot of opportunities out there, and you doesn't always have to be $100 a private lesson. What were like maybe some of the hurdles before you got to tennis or some of the hurdles that you've had to deal with in tennis now?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I did try a lot of other sports, not anything that lasted probably more than the week-long camp or a year.
Yeah.
I tried softball and I was kind of late to the game with that. I felt like the teams were already pretty established and like it was hard
Mm,
to get in and feel connected with teammates in that sense
yeah.
because people start softball, baseball as like toddlers or preschool age, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't try that till I was in 4th grade, terrible at it. I tried basketball. I had a really good friend in middle school who was very into basketball. I was so excited. I made the first cut of tryouts for like the 7th grade team. Then we're going in the next round of cuts, and my friend starts like elbowing me and pushing me around. And I was like, whoa, I think this sport is too aggressive for me. Why would my friend do that kind
Yeah.
of thing? It just wasn't quite the energy I was looking for.
Yeah.
And then I explored with volleyball. I actually really liked volleyball as a sport. That was another one I kind of connected with. I mean, I guess it's similar. It's over a net kind of thing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I didn't have great coaches, and I felt really
Mm,
discouraged by that whole environment because of the coaches. And I hate
mm,
that about the sports world sometimes that someone
yes.
can just have a terrible experience based on a coach or another player. And then on the flip side, they can have an amazing experience because of
Mhm.
their coach kind of thing. So I dropped volleyball to pick up tennis and then just
Okay.
kind of carried that with me. It brought me so many things. I was a very shy, quiet kid growing up, and in high school I had a very like small tight group of friends. I wasn't real social or popular or chatting with everybody, but even some of the things I was learning in tennis that you have to call out the score audibly for the other person to hear
Mm,
you. I think even that small thing helped me find a voice. It's okay to yell even the score out. It's okay to make some noise out here or show some aggression when you're trying to hit the ball hard or show a
yeah.
big serve, anything like that. And I didn't realize that until years later that some of those skills on the court that I was learning really translated to the rest of my life
Mm.
socially and going into college and then getting jobs and working with people, all that kind of thing.
Yeah. I really think too, like when you're saying coaches can really either motivate someone to play or really like stop them from playing at all. And I think too, overall, like coaches have gotten better, but I
Hmm.
still hear stories about people just having horrible player coaching experiences. And that's really the shift for doing this is being able to give resources to
Yeah.
parents and players to say, hey, if a coach is doing this, you got to get your player out of there. Or
Yeah.
if your player's acting out, like figure out why, because usually
Hmm.
there's a case behind it. Or if their mood just completely changes, like you never know, maybe, what a coach said to them, or maybe a player said to them and then the coach didn't handle it well either. When people are in those leadership roles, I don't think always at the time you realize how much of an impact you're
Hmm.
actually making on kids, even though it looks like they're not even paying attention to you, they're on
Yeah.
their phone or whatever. It's like, oh no, they are paying attention to you way more than you realize.
Right. Yeah, and that it can affect them not just for that season that you have them, but honestly the rest of their lives or whatever else
Yes.
they're moving and transitioning into. One thing I've really appreciated working with USTA is having access to a lot of coaching resources. Like I'm not a coach myself, but I am very, very encouraged by giving resources to people who are on court with everyone because they can have such an influence on the person that they are instructing,
Mm,
good or bad. You
yeah.
know? And so I've been to so many workshops that we've touched on like trauma informed coaching or how to create a positive team environment because that can be harder to do sometimes in tennis as
Mm,
an individual sport even though we have team activities you're still out on court by yourself or with your doubles partner, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I've really appreciated a lot of that. Not so much for myself, like I'm not coaching, but I work with a lot of coaches to feel empowered to be making a positive impact on what they're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Ashley, thank you for today. Thank you for sharing your story. And if you guys like these tennis tales, please like, share, and subscribe.
Thanks, Jara.